Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of Charlotte County Musician Factory. My name is Joe Garzo from Libraries and History. We are here at the wonderful All-Star Sports Grill in Port Charlotte, and today we're going to meet a fellow musician. Actually, when I first started playing down here around 2015-16, I was doing a lot of open mics, and one of the first really nice musicians to me was a man by the name of BG. That's the letter B and the letter G. So let's meet BG. He's a great guy. Come on in. Hi everybody and welcome to another edition of Charlotte County Musician Factory. My name is Joe Garzo and I'm here today with the one and only BG. Yay!
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe.
So why don't we just get the first thing out of the way. What does BG stand for?
Stands for Bernard Garner.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
That's your name?
Yeah, my original name was Bernard Dirk Garner, and I didn't like it growing up. And then when I started performing, I think it was the second band I was in. Some guy turned around and called me BG. I said, that'll stick.
Kind of like
You
it.
know? So
That's the only way I've known it.
so,
I met you when I first moved down here, and we were both playing a bunch of open mics.
oh yeah,
I think it was at the Lakeview restaurant.
yeah. Gary Dilley ran that at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
And the thing I noticed about BG was that he had these awesome Elvis sideburns that he doesn't have today. So what happened to the sideburns?
Well, they wouldn't show anyway because it got all white hair now.
Oh, okay. Well, it looked kind of cool when you had the white hair, I thought.
Well, I don't know. I like to change my haircut every once in a while anyway. you
Okay.
know.
Well, let's talk about music. So how old were you when you first started playing music?
Well, I started out singing in a choir as a toddler, and then I was in, chorus a couple times in school, and I started playing the guitar at 9,
Oh, wow.
and then I started playing with a band, I think, when I was 15 or 16 years old.
Okay, cool.
So,
what time period would that be when you started up the
Oh,
band?
about 1965, 66.
Okay, that'd be a good time.
Been a couple days ago.
So what made you want to become a musician and play in a band?
I don't know. I just always liked music, and it was. I had a lot of time on my hands, so it's whenever I would get depressed or angry or whatever, that I'd go hide away in my room and play music.
What kind of guitar did you have? What was your first guitar?
My first guitar was a Stella.
Oh, I remember.
They're
those.
still around. I
Yeah.
think we got one at the shop that's. I think we're asking $200 for it. It's the same model that I learned on. You know?
Really?
So yeah, but they were pretty cheap at the time, and you could buy them through Sears. you know,
Okay.
So
My high school girlfriend's father gave me a Stella. It wouldn't stay in tune though. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's another story entirely. So what? Tell me about your first gig. What was that like?
well, I was in high school, and a friend of mine that I think in my sophomore year, we did a talent contest, and we won.
Oh, good.
He played a 12 string and I played a 6 string. I sang lead and he sang harmony, and we got a standing ovation for the
Really?
show. So it's and that was back in the days of the folk music,
Right.
Peter, Paul, and Mary, and all those.
I was gonna
you
say,
know.
was it like Everly Brothers or Simon and Garfunkel, that kind of thing?
Yeah, some of it was.
Okay.
So we had a great time doing it, and then we were asked to come back. Of course, I was in my sophomore year; he was in his senior year.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, well, we're not going to be around,
Yeah.
So.
What was the name of your first band?
Well, the first band I was in, it was called the Centurions.
Centurions.
And
I
I
like
was
that.
we were based basically out of a place called Blanchester, Ohio, between Cincinnati and Dayton.
That's
So
weird.
we booked, in Dayton and Cincinnati.
Okay.
So I started early. I played rhythm guitar and I played 12 string, and I was lead vocal. And we had it was a 4-piece band. We had a lot of
Okay.
fun with it.
Oh, the Centurions. So your Stella was an acoustic, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
What was your first electric guitar?
My first electric guitar, I'm trying to remember because I've got so many right now,
I saw a tattoo of what looks like a Telly, so I
Yeah.
wondered.
But it was a knockoff of a Telecaster.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I couldn't afford a Telecaster or, anything like that until I got into my late 20s.
Okay, so a Telly knockoff,
Yeah.
that works. So who were some of your first influences as far as music?
A little bit of everybody, I did a lot of country rock. back
Okay.
then. So, it's kind of like, I just like music. I like country rock, and I liked a lot of folk music because I played a 12 string at the
Right.
time.
Oh, those 12s sound beautiful. The country rock thing was pretty much on the fringe there. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't like you crossing lines.
Oh,
I-
we got plenty of criticism doing that.
Right.
You know?
I just read a book about Merle Haggard, and he was talking about when he met Graham Parsons, and Graham Parsons, of course, straddled the line of country and rock. And,
Yeah.
and he wasn't too fond of Graham when he first met him. But anyway, so you like that kind of stuff? Any bands in particular that you were favoring? I mean, if you like if you like folk, I imagine
Yeah.
Bob Dylan was probably an influence.
Bob
right?
Dylan. I like Merle Haggard a lot. I kind of
Yeah, me
followed
too.
him, and you know, some of those guys that were right on the edge of country and rock and roll.
Right.
You know, they would cross that line back and forth. You know, so
Yeah.
I liked a lot of Merle Haggard stuff, and
Cool.
I eventually got to meet him, and he used to come to Inglewood here
Oh,
years
really?
ago. Yeah, so
It sounded like he played everywhere. From
Yeah.
the book I read, it sounded like he played wherever they needed him. So, whatever it was to make a book. So when were you when you started writing your own music? And how old were
I
you?
really didn't. Well, I started writing actually early, you know, but then I didn't really start copywriting anything until I'd retired from the military and was living in Inglewood.
Oh, really?
I got 9 songs in the Library of Congress, but they're about alcohol and drug recovery. You know.
Oh, okay.
And
Is that something you had to deal with?
yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay. Was this
So,
before or after the service?
way after the service?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Did you serve in Vietnam?
I was over there for 18 months. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did you get drafted? Is that how?
No, I joined the Navy.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Right out of high school?
Yeah, and I did 21 and a half years.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Didn't
So I
realize.
retired, you know, from it.
Wow.
In
I only
fact,
know you as a
that's-
musician. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
That's why I wrote this. Is it's called the Veteran's Prayer.
Excellent. That's the
And,
song you're going to sing for us in a
yeah.
little while. Okay, so when you were in the military, did you continue to play? Were they?
Oh yeah, wherever I'd be stationed, if I was, you know, aboard ship or if I was on land base, you know,
Right.
I'd get connected with other musicians, you know, and
Okay.
I played in a band. Actually, I was stationed out of Norfolk, Virginia, on and off for about 11 years.
Oh, okay.
And I always found somebody to play music with. so.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool. So
so-
when did you get out? About the 80s?
I retired in 1987,
Okay.
so it's been 35 years, something like that.
How'd you end up down here in Charlotte County?
Well, I was stationed for a while in Key West, Florida. In fact, I was stationed there twice, total of 6 years. And a guy that used to work for me moved to Northport here. So the second time that I went down to serve, you know, in Key West, I stopped and stayed with him for a while, you know. And so I liked the area, and we used to come over to Inglewood,
Right.
you know. And so I liked Inglewood. Back then, it had, you know, like maybe 3 lights in the town, and down on Dearborn was downtown Inglewood.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and, so it was, everybody knew everybody. It was
Right.
a really friendly town. So, of course, we've grown since then. So, but I liked it. I didn't like Northport real well, but I fell in love with Inglewood. So when I retired, I moved to Inglewood and I bought a house there.
Oh, okay.
So I've been there ever since.
You married and have kids, or?
Well, I was married. I was married twice. And I got 3 grown kids. And I got 9 grandchildren and 5 great grandchildren.
Oh, that's great.
But I
know-
never see them. They're out in Texas. They're all Texans.
Oh, you got to get them to come out here and visit, especially in the wintertime.
No,
when it's
they
cold.
always expect me to come and visit them. You know.
Okay.
So.
Well, I know you're working at Uncle Wally's. So when you retired, did you work anywhere after that, or were you just? Done
I
with
did
working
a
in
lot
town?
of different things. I get out. I worked for a while for Mayaka Pines Golf Course
Okay.
as a landscaper, and then I went to work. Let's see, for Walker Construction out of Punta Gorda.
Okay.
I helped build some house pads out on Gardens of Gulf Cove,
Okay.
and I worked for Tri-County Trucking for about 5 years as a diesel mechanic.
So you weren't really retired then.
No, I know, you know, it's retirement is just a word.
Right.
You know,
And you're still working now up at
yeah.
Uncle Wally's
Yeah,
place.
yeah, it's all part time, you know. But
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what about music? So did you start playing in bands when you came down here to Charlotte County?
actually, I was solo by that time. I did try to. I did start a band here in Inglewood. I can't remember what year it was, but it was called Second Chance.
Second
And
Chance,
we started out with 5 people, and then as they would move or get married or decide that wasn't the forte. And we were our music was based in recovery, you know.
Okay.
And I wrote a lot of stuff for recovery from alcohol and drugs,
Huh.
and geared it towards recovery. And ended up that as people left, it ended up that a fellow by the name of Mark Wagner and I played for about 3 years together as a duo.
Right.
And then he had a family situation, had to back down from it, and I went solo. That's been 15 years ago, I think.
Wow.
And so I've been doing solo stuff since then, most of the time. Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind talking about your recovery a little bit, did music play any part in this? I mean, a lot of people say you're in a band and you
Yeah.
get offered drugs and stuff like that.
It does, because you know, when you write, especially when you get with people that write music, you know, they're telling about music is about your life. It's about your, you know, your feelings and everything. So
Right.
a lot of times, what happens is you get with other people. Next thing you know, they twist up one, and
Right.
you know, it's like, might as well try it, you know, and you're off to the races. You know.
How many years did you think you had a
Well,
problem?
I had an alcohol problem all my life, you
Right.
know, so it went from alcohol to, you know, to drugs, and it got to the point where my life was really out of focus, you know, and so the alcohol basically was what brought me to my bottom. So.
Did it affect your relationships with your wives? and
Oh
stuff?
yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah,
that kind of
so.
thing. So what brought you out of it? How'd you get out of it? Mainly?
I started going to AA and NA, and started meeting people that had the same type of problems that I had. So I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like I was an outcast anymore.
Right.
And started reading positive, you know, books about, you know, lifestyles and everything, and that helped me through it. So, and every once in a while, I still go to an AA or an NA meeting, but you know, once you're through that, then I joined a church, and most of the people in our church are in recovery.
Oh.
And
okay.
it's
You
our
wanna plug,
our
you want to
pastor.
plug the church?
Yeah, it's Abundant Life Worship Center in Inglewood, Florida.
Okay. Okay.
So, and our pastor is one of the greatest people I've ever seen, because he was a former entertainer that was on the country circuit
Right.
out of Nashville. So, you know, it's kind of like he gives us all the support, you know, and you know, you really can't tell somebody that's not in that position what it's like unless they've been there.
Right.
You know, so it works for me. You know.
I've met a lot of people that think that the drugs and alcohol helps with their writing process. I mean, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I found out it hinders me.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Yeah, so, yeah, and you know, most of the places that I have played with other people, most of the people were in sobriety.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
So.
How
and
long has it been? How long have you been sober?
91.
Oh wow.
Since 91.
Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. That's a long time.
So.
That's amazing. I've been in bands with definitely. I had to do interventions with a couple of drummers along the way, and
Yeah.
some of them fell off the wagon within 6 months. So I can definitely appreciate.
I know what
your,
that's like. I
Yeah.
tried to get clean and sober when I was playing with a band in the Florida Keys, and it didn't work. I got into the tequila and fell into the trap set. So.
Especially in a place like the Florida Keys, it's
Yeah.
like you may as well be in Vegas trying to
Yeah.
quit. You know.
So, but you know, it's kind of, it's pretty easy. I can go into any place that serves alcohol now, and you know, people offer me, you know, can I buy you a drink? Well, why don't you put it in a tip jar, or
There you go.
give me a 7-Up or something. You know,
Heck yeah.
people, you know, misery loves company. They
That's
want you
true.
to drink with them,
That's
and
true.
they want to be able to relate. You know, I was at a place in Inglewood one night, and I was playing a solo, and this guy come up, and he was pretty well tipsy, and he wanted to buy me a drink. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, why don't you just put it in a tip jar, or, you know, buy me a cup of coffee or something like that. And he just walked off the stage. You know?
Right.
So, you know, I was tried not to offend him, but a lot of times that's what it is.
It's
They
what
want
it-
you to
exactly.
drink with them, you know.
I know.
So.
I've turned down drinks all the time because I got to work in the morning or something,
Yeah.
and it's like they treat you like
Yeah.
you just stabbed them in the back or something. But if I say no to a drink, it's because I usually have to be somewhere and be
Well,
responsible.
they haven't reached
so.
that point to where they fell off the cliff.
Oh,
you
okay.
know.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to really hit a bottom, and then you can
what
relate
they
to
say.
somebody that turns alcohol down.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, I guess let's talk about the song you're about to sing for us. Tell us about the song.
Well, this is called A Veteran's Prayer, and I spent a lot of years in the military, and I lost quite a few of my buddies, you know, and you know, we tend, a lot of the people that are in the military, you know, they're exposed to dangers and everything. A lot of times we forget about them,
Right.
you know, after years and years. I lost 4 people in an airplane incident off the Nimitz right before I retired from the Navy in '87.
Oh, really?
And
Sorry.
one of them I went to navigator school with, and I really haven't got over that, you know. But, you know, a lot of times people don't think about them unless they're in the company of somebody else that knew them,
Right.
you know. So, you know, it's kind of like I sat around and thought, well, how do I feel about it, you know? And I feel like I did my duty and so did they. And we know when we sign on the bottom line, we're put in a place to where we've signed our life, you know,
Yeah.
whether we survive or not.
Yes.
So it's for God and country and mom's apple pie.
Of course.
And back then I didn't like apple pie. So
And we all definitely should appreciate you. And thank you for your service, and thank you to all the veterans out there for their service. All right, guys, this is BG with A Veteran's Prayer.
Dear Lord, I've served my country. My love for her is strong. I stood behind her glory when others thought her wrong. I'm proud I'm in America. For her strength and peace I pray. There is no greater country. God bless the USA. I've joined in celebration and raised a toast and cheer. Pledge her my allegiance and sung her anthem dear. Proud I'm in America, for her strength and peace I pray. There is no greater country. God bless the USA. I wept for fallen heroes who proudly fought and died. Freedoms that they defended, I cherish deep inside. But I'm in America, for her strength and peace I pray. There is no greater country. God bless the USA.
Thank you, BG. Thanks
Sorry.
for joining us, and thank you for your time. So there you have it, another episode of CCMF. My name's Joe Gerzo. Thanks to BG for being a great guest this week. And please check us out again on our YouTube channel. Take care, folks.